Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder. Today we're diving into Planet Labs' latest annual report. Let's see if their year was truly out of this world or if they crash landed. We'll look at the numbers to see if this satellite imaging company is on a sustainable path or just burning through cash, like a rocket burns through fuel. Planet Labs is a company that images the entire Earth every day with a huge fleet of satellites. They sell this data to businesses and governments who want to monitor changes on the ground. Think of it as a really detailed, constantly updated Google Earth, but with more specialized uses. This report covers Planet Labs' performance for the fiscal year that ended in January. It's a deep dive into their finances and operations, telling us how they're doing and what they see coming in the future. Keep in mind that this report includes forward-looking statements, so what Planet says about the future might not actually happen. Many things can change in their industry, so it's good to be skeptical and keep an eye on the risks they mention. Let's start with what Planet Labs actually does. They're all about using space to improve life here on Earth. The goal is to make changes on Earth visible, so governments, organizations, and companies can make data-driven decisions. Planet has the largest fleet of Earth imaging satellites, allowing them to image the entire Earth's landmass, plus some water, every day. They collect hundreds of millions of square kilometers of data, adding it to their historical archive going back to 2009. Because they can't go back in time to recollect this archive, they say it's a big competitive advantage. Their data has many different uses. In agriculture, it helps with precision farming, crop monitoring, and irrigation management. Governments use it for forest health monitoring, disaster management, and even smart city planning. It can also help with things like tracking supply chains and monitoring carbon footprints. Planet faces competition from both older established companies like Airbus and Maxar and newer players. They also compete with data analytics platforms that use geospatial data from various sources. One risk they highlight is keeping their products compatible with third-party software and data. If they can't do this, their platform becomes less useful and customers might go elsewhere. All right, let's check out the actual numbers. First up, the consolidated statements of operations. Remember, this is like a summary of their income and expenses over the past year. Total revenue is up from about $220 million to $244 million, an increase of 11%. That is definitely good. Now here is a weird bit. Their cost of revenue actually went down from about $107 million to $104 million, a decrease of about 3%. Usually as a company makes more money, these costs go up. This is worth keeping an eye on, and digging deeper, this is where it gets interesting. They mentioned that depreciation expenses went down. A big risk for Planet is how much they rely on government contracts. Governments can change their spending priorities or even terminate contracts early, which could really hurt Planet's revenue. This dependence on government funding is something to watch. Despite that revenue, the annual report tells us they still had a net loss for the year. In fact, it was almost $123 million to over $1 billion. While the loss is a little smaller than the year before, that is a scary number and a long hole to climb out of. Let's briefly check the cash flow statement, which tells us how cash actually moved in and out of the company. They used up $14 million in operating activities. That is much better than the $50 million they burned the year before. At least they are moving in the right direction. Planet Labs depends on only a few suppliers for critical parts and services. If they face problems with these suppliers, such as higher costs or delays, it could really hurt their ability to make satellites and provide services, which is worth considering. Another thing to watch out for is the voting structure of the stock. A couple of key people have a huge amount of control, which could override what other investors want. Finally, Planet Labs is a public benefit corporation, meaning they have a mission beyond just making money. While that's admirable, it could also lead to decisions that hurt short-term profits. There's a risk they could face lawsuits from investors who disagree with these mission-driven choices. In short, Planet Labs is trying to balance doing good with doing well, and that leads to a lot of uncertainties and caveats for a potential investor. So after taking a look at this report, what's my take? Planet Labs has a cool business with growing revenue, but man, that accumulated deficit is huge. The company has major risks, like its dependence on government contracts and its need to constantly innovate in a rapidly changing industry. It's definitely high risk, high reward situation if they can become profitable, and that's a big if. This could be a good play. Thanks for watching. If you found this helpful, please like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what SEC filing I should decode next.